everybody came back for day 2. At least I hope so. We kind of do it night. Just to let you know, we have a fun day planned, an active day. So I hope you're not looking forward to sitting there and listening to us talk at you, because there's not going to be a lot of that today. Just so you're warned. Also, you got a survey on the way in, or actually you got here. That's actually for the next presentation. That's after your order. But if you had time to do it, great. If you haven't had time, you get a little time before her presentation to do it. It's just a lead in to what she's going to be talking about, which will then lead into what you're going to be doing for the rest of the day. What we've got first, though, before we get to that, is our career services staff, career development. So, yes, I know, it's only your second day here. And already, you've got you thinking about what you're going to do once you leave here. As I said yesterday, it's going to come pretty quickly. So please start planning as early as you can. And so that's part of the presentation, or part of our plan for this morning, is to introduce you to the career development staff, let them talk to you about what they do, the services they can provide, and also do some fun stuff with all of you. So I will turn it over to our Director of Career Development, Kelli Young.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Rob.
Kelli.
Hi, welcome everybody. That's really nice. Thank you so much. We are so excited to have all of you here. 134. I have to tell you a little story, and you'll get to know me. I tell a lot of stories, but we had this beautiful ceremony Friday with all of our graduating students. It was really sad because we miss them when they go, and we're really excited to see what they're doing. So it's a really emotional time. And we're mingling over at the reception, and we're waiting in line, looking what the food is this year. And I overhear Ross talking with one of our former students, Chris, and I hear the words, wow, 134 students. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, 134 students are coming in. So I turn to my colleague Jennifer and I say, oh my God, the new class is coming in at 1:34. And she looks at her watch and she says, that's only an hour away. Boy, we really moved things fast. So we're very excited to have you. Very excited to have you here.
Thanks, Kelli. Thanks.
But anyway, so we're really, that number really is astounding. When I first started almost 10 years ago, we had a class of 120. And that was like the biggest, and it was just like, oh my gosh, how are we going to handle this? So we're ready for you. We're ready. I just wanted to say that, one of our, as Ross was saying, one of the most important things that, we try to do here is get you tuned into what we're doing right away, which is why we're here the second day, trying to get you to know us a little bit about our services. We understand that all of you, all 134 of you coming in all different varieties, forms, have different backgrounds. That you have different kind of hopes and dreams about what you want to do. There's different reasons that you're all here. And one of the things that is most important to us is that we can help you move toward those goals. And another little story I have, but I had a student come in when I was first starting to work here, and she very nicely, before she came in, let me know what it was she wanted to talk about. And it had something to do with, she was interested in working in international trade, but only if it was between like Norway and Mexico, if there was a full moon on the 7th Sunday of every month, and Tom Cruise was in there or something like that. And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, so as any new excited employee would do, I went to the expert and I sat in front and I said, Google, don't fail me now. And I went and I Googled it. And so she came in and I was all excited and I said to her, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is I did find something on what you want to do. The bad news is you're the one who wrote the paper. And that was true. So I think that, we are very aware that this isn't just cookie cutter. When we look at our statistics, there's no feeders. There's not 20 people going to this organization or 100 people going to this one. One year, I'm trying to think, I think it was last year's statistics, we had 105 students that went to 98 different organizations in the MPA class. So there is no, everybody goes here, everybody goes there. You're all very unique. You all have very unique different dreams, hopes, and it really is our privilege to help you maneuver toward those. So I'm going to turn it over now to Jennifer, who's also going to talk a little bit about the services, the resources, and all of the programming that we have to help you kind of maneuver toward that. We're going to run you through a little exercise at the end, so just hold tight. We'll get you through this part. Just want to make sure that you're aware of who we are and what we offer. And then Lauren's going to speak to you a little bit about our career management system, which is really exciting for us. And we'll go from there. So, Jennifer?
Thanks. And Nell just told me to speak into the microphone. I've got to tell you, I can't hear out of my right ear right now, so I have no sense of volume whatsoever. So if I'm talking extremely loud, just smile and go with it. I'm only going to talk for a few minutes. I have to tell you guys, I'm really excited. I just started in December, and you guys are my first full class. So I get to be with you guys for the entire duration of your program, and I'm just excited to get to know all of you. As you can tell, we're a really fun office. You've already laughed like 3 times, right? And we've been up here for 5 minutes. So even if you don't use us for any of our services or programs, just come hang out. There's always something going on. I did want to talk seriously, though, for a couple of minutes about our services. We do a lot of programming. This is kind of the first step. We really recommend you attend as many of these programs as you can. Even if you already know exactly what you want to do, it doesn't hurt to kind of branch out. Come and hear what people have to say. Come have your resume looked at. You never know what's going to happen over the next year. Even if you think you've got it all figured out right now, there's a good chance it'll change, as it often does for students. Can I just get a show of hands really quick? I meant to do a quick survey. How many of you used your career services office as undergrads? Oh, good, a good number of you. Out of all of you, how many of you found it useful or helpful? Okay, good. So I hope you have a good understanding of what it is a career services office actually does. I think the old school view is the placement, and it's really not. It's more about, helping you strategize, giving you the resources and the assistance to help you be successful in your job search. Some of the things we do, the Career Connection series, that's where we bring in alumni from all different fields. They come in and they talk for about an hour, hour and a half, and these are really just meant to be casual interactions. The alum will come, they'll talk about how they got to where they are, what it is they do. They'll offer advice, tips, strategies. But as I said, it's really just meant to be casual, and then afterward, you can interact with that alum. And I did mention, even if it's an alum who works somewhere that you're really not interested, this person's state and local, I have absolutely no interest, you never know what you're going to learn from someone. We also have a career strategy workshop series. That's a mouthful. We just gave it that fancy title. It didn't have one before like an hour ago. But that's just basically, we have a series of workshops like resume and cover letter critiques, interviewing, networking. These are really useful because we often bring in like alum or people who can really give you some good tips, who maybe do some hiring or who have been through the process and really have a good understanding of what it is that employers are looking for. We also have a DC networking trip every February. I believe it's Friday, February 2nd, 22nd, right? Mm-hmm. So this is actually planned by a student organization, MaxPack, is that it? And I will actually be helping, so I should know who the organization is since I will be helping them this year. But basically, a group of students go to DC, spend a day just kind of going to all the different organizations and companies around DC doing informational interviews. And then there'll typically be that night some sort of alumni networking program. And so the students always have a really good time. They usually stay with alum who are in the DC area. And I don't know how many of you have been to DC, but DC is just always a great time. You get to go to some really cool places. They've been to the World Bank, Department of State, the Pentagon. So it's a really fun trip. We also do New York City in March. It'll be the Thursday before spring break. It's the NYU Wagner Career Fair. There are only 5 schools that are invited, and it's strictly for public affairs students. A lot of New York City area, New York State employers, but it's a really great fair. I went last year and I met a lot of really cool employers who are really interested in our students. And as I said, it's only for 5 schools. So it's pretty selective. And then we'll also, again, have a networking event with alumni in the area afterward. So those are things just to kind of put on your radar screen, be thinking about. There'll be more to come on those. The ICMA annual conference, which is in October and will be in Phoenix this year, Phoenix, Arizona, that's for folks who are really interested in state and local government. We do sponsor it, so it is a paid trip for students who are really interested in being a part of that conference and learning more about what it is to be involved in state and local government. And then if you don't get what you need out of those, or if you just want to hang out with us one-on-one, or you want to really strategize one-on-one, we do counseling appointments in a one-on-one setting. And really, it's just a matter of coming in, talking to Lauren, and setting up an appointment with Kelli or I. And it's not just a one-shot deal. So I had students who I worked with a dozen or more times. I have students who have graduated and I'm still working with. So we do offer that service. And then resources. So we have several different types of guides on our website. If you go there, it's maxwell.syr.edu/career. And we have career field guides, professional development guides, and fellowship guides. They're all pretty self-explanatory, but there's a lot of really good information. And they're a really good starting point to just kind of do your research on what your options are after graduation. Maybe you're more interested in a fellowship. We have a huge list of fellowships that are offered, and it's really good to start thinking about those early because the application processes can be a little lengthy. The professional development guide is currently under construction, but it does have some good tips on resumes, interviewing, et cetera. And then, of course, the career field guides. Those are really useful if there are several different areas that you're really considering going into. There's a lot of information about what it is you do in those types of careers, who's hiring. We have direct links to employers. And then, of course, the career development webpage, which I just mentioned. The Maxwell Career Management System. Lauren's going to talk more about this, but this is really, really useful. This is a really useful resource for you guys. I can't stress that enough. This is strictly for Maxwell students, Maxwell graduate students. And we have employers who send us opportunities strictly for you guys. So Lauren's going to talk more about that and tell you how to log in. It also has, like an events page where we're going to post all those different events that I talked about. And it's just really important that you use that you stay on top of it, that you get your resumes uploaded in there because employers will actually go into our system. And if they have a position, they can search for you if you make your resume active, so they can reach out to you. So it's a really great system. But I won't steal your thunder. Facebook, Twitter, career blog, LinkedIn, we're on all of it. So friend us, like us, connect with us, whatever it is. Orange Link, which is sort of SU's Maxwell Career Management System. It's SU's job resource, job search bank. But it's also a really good resource. There's a lot of good stuff on there. And Going Global, which you can access through Orange Link. And that's really great for folks who are interested in working abroad. It has a wealth of information about what type of visas you need. It goes country by country. So if you're interested in a really specific place, it'll tell you, what do they look for? How often do they hire foreign workers, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, it has a huge job bank of internships and jobs. So, that's worth exploring too. And I know, both Kelli and Ross mentioned this, but it's never too early to start thinking about this stuff. Find out what we have going on, come to our events, come visit us. But again, welcome. I'm just really excited to get to know all of you and see you over the next year. And like I said, even if you don't need us for anything, just come see us. We're a fun place to be. So I'm going to turn it over to Lauren.
Okay, I have a mic, so I'm all set. Thank you. So next we're going to talk about our upcoming workshops and events. And I'm Lauren Meyer. I am the Office and Recruiting Coordinator. So I'm your first point of contact in our office. So when and if you come in to use our services, I kind of triage you in a way of what you need and what kind of services you need. So either you can meet with our GA and go over your resume first. And as I've always said, the more eyes that look at your resume, the more ideas you'll get. So then you could meet with Kelli or Jennifer and go through that. This is a brief overview of what we have up and coming in our academic year so far. These things do change. Really, it can change in 2 weeks. We can have a new event coming up. It can change in 2 days. So depending on what kind of warning we get that somebody is coming, so often you'll get some emails from us, from the careers at maxwell.syr.edu. So you'll get these emails with the updates of our events. Also, we do put out posters for our career connections. So keep your eyes wide open for new and upcoming events. But just going through, in September, we do have Deloitte, and Deloitte will be here early in September, and then also late in September. They'll do an info session, and then they're going to do something called the Deloitte Challenge, which you'll get more information about as it comes up. Also, we're just going to run some of our workshops, and I'm going to do one on the Maxwell Career Management System. Now, you all should have gotten in your packet a flyer that I did on the Maxwell Career Management System. The majority of you are in there right now. If you have your SYR email address, that will be your sign-in, and your password will be the first 9 digits of your SUID. So you can go into the system, and let me just flip over to the slide, because what our system is full of is the jobs and then all of our events. So you're gonna wanna stay up to date on the calendar of events, because we add in the overall SU, because we do collaborate with other career offices that are running other workshops that you might be interested in attending, as well as all of our job postings. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm gonna do some tips and tricks, little snippets, so that you can go ahead and get in and have search agents, so that you can have jobs that are specifically emailed right out of our system to you that would pertain to wherever you want to be or what sector you want to be in, so that they're coming right out of our system to you as well. So there are a couple of different little tips and tricks with our system that I will be letting you all know. The calendar of events, of course, is really important. Also, our alumni director does a lot of events in DC and New York, so that students and alumni can meet together and gather and network. And so we put those events up as well. And our recruiting events that happen on and off campus. And then all of our employer contacts. So even if we have an employer who does not list a position, sometimes we have a contact in there. And you can also see if they're an alum as well, and therefore you can cross-reference and research on LinkedIn as well. So you can have the background there, even if they're not presently working there. In LinkedIn, it will list that they will have worked there. So you want to use those resources. And I don't know if anybody's used the terminology yet of the Maxwell Mafia, but let me tell you, the strings are really thick out there in terms of the connections you can make with the alumni. And I would really highly encourage you to use those connections. So, and it says right in our system, if you look up the contacts, many of our Deloitte people who will return are Maxwell alums, and you can connect with them and find out what they think of it, how they like it, if they like it, what they don't like. So I encourage you to really get into the system, stay on top of the system, and we update it daily. So new jobs go in every day. So I really encourage you to use it and use it to its ability. So thank you very much.
And I just wanted to also just to tag on what Lauren just said. I just wanted to make sure that you understand that, you know, you've seen a little bit of a list of events and recruiting people who come. And I just want to really put out there, I think this is a really important message, that there are employers who will come on campus because it's the way they recruit. There are employers and alumni who send us jobs because they have lots of job openings. But remember what I said at the very beginning. Every single one of you has a very unique idea of what you want to do. This is the needle in the haystack. It will work for some of you, but probably for most of you, a lot of this stuff will be interesting. You might want to take a look at it, but it's not going to be where you want to go. We know that. The networking is the key to all of this, okay? So if it's there and it works for you and there's a job posting that comes in because alums send them in, they're out there in the field, they're doing the work, they get kind of a tag on a job and they make sure they get it to us, or they know something's coming up and they're going to say, hey, if there's interested students, let me know ahead of time before we post this. We really, really have a fantastic kind of input of jobs, and we have great recruiters coming on campus. But there's a lot of other things out there. And remember what I said, when we looked at our stats, you know, there's hundreds of organizations that our students go to. So it's not feeders, there's not recruiting feeders. What it is your networking, that we work to connect you with the people in the field who are going to be able to get you where you want to go. So that networking piece is really the most critical. And really, when they're sending us the jobs or our alum are coming back and helping us with the recruiting, that really is the networking anyway. So I just want, you know, if you're looking up that list and going, well, I don't want to do consulting, or boy, I'm not really interested in state and local government, it's okay. There are 4,000, 5,000 alum in that system who are available to you at a moment's notice to help you connect with the resources, the people, and the organizations that are going to help you. So I just put that out there because I know sometimes students look and they're like, well, maybe I should be doing that. And well, no, go where you want to go. We'll help you get there. So I'm going to switch modes just a little bit. What we wanted to do, because we know you're getting so much information overload, you have our handouts, you'll be able to figure out what we do, you'll be able to come in and see us, throughout the year. So we want to kind of take a break now and kind of a la Judith Maurer, we're going to put you through a little bit of an exercise. And really for me, this exercise is important because I think one of the most critical things that happens during your time here is that you start to develop a sense of really who you are, but not just who you are, how you're going to interact and make a difference in the world with the people around you. And I think, the faculty, that's what they do. And we try to tap on and help with that in any way that we can. And so one of the things that we do in our office is we do work a little bit with some self-assessment pieces, and the MBTI is one of them that we do. So I just wanted to ask, how many of you have either taken or are familiar with the Myers-Briggs, the MBTI? Okay, good number. It is a pretty popular instrument. Organizations across the world use it for team building, for leadership, for management training. It's a very, very kind of scientifically defined, statistically sound instrument to help people kind of get a sense of where their strengths and preferences are. And so on our end, it can be used across all kinds of different things. We clearly use it to help students look at career ideas. Where are my strengths? Where do they fit best? Is the area that I'm thinking about something that is going to be more challenging for me? Not that you won't do it, but if it's going to be more challenging, what are those challenges going to be for me? So we really like to kind of help you get around a little bit better sense of yourself. And so what we wanted to do today is just a very quick exercise to kind of get you moving, talking with each other. Teamwork is really the core of what's going to happen here. We know, because we see students work together on the group projects, and we see the frustrations when you get a mix of people who are not on the same wavelength. And so we're hoping if we kind of set a little bit of that up front here and get you thinking that all ideas are valuable and that all of you have different things to contribute in different ways, that we can help get the year started, but also I really want to direct this a little bit toward career and how you're going to fit in with different organizations. So nobody's going to be put on the spot. It's just going to be a fun little exercise, get you moving, getting, talking among each other a little bit more because it's only the second day, so you're going to be with each other a long time and just starting to get to know each other. So what I wanted to do is just give you a very quick overview. And if you have pens and paper that you can write on, at one point I'm going to have you do a little self-assessment. For those of you who know the MBTI, there's 4 letters we're looking for. I'm going to go over each of those and just have you in the moment. If you really want to get into this, come into our office. We'll take you through a full assessment. But this is just for the purposes of this exercise. We're going to have you identify kind of very quickly what kind of type you may be, and we're going to break you into an exercise. So really, when you're thinking about self-assessment and looking at your own values and your own strengths, it's really just about knowing yourself, right? And these are questions that are really critical to the MBTI. I won't go over them all, but you can kind of get a sense. People make decisions in different ways. Different values are important. For some people, it's facts. The facts are what drive them. For other people, it's how it's going to make a difference, how it's going to affect people. Neither of those are wrong, and both are very valuable. So, getting to know yourself, where are you? Do you rely more on feelings? Do you rely more on facts? Are you more apt to look for organization and structure, or are you more apt to kind of be spontaneous and creative and go with it? All of those things are important to think about yourself. And
You want to go back one?
are we going all by ourselves here?
I'm so sorry.
No, you're okay. No, you're fine. So anyway, and some people really get their energy from being in groups, and others, really need that time to process information alone. So, this is just to give you a sense. This is where the MBTI is really coming from, the types of things it's really trying to get at. You can go ahead. So,
No, one.
why does it matter? Why does it matter? Team building, leadership, these are the things. You really need to understand yourself, your own strengths, your own challenges, if you're going to work with other people, right? I remember this one example that, when you get people in a room in a meeting, so you have a manager and he calls a meeting, and he's the kind of manager who's like right there saying, let's get some ideas on the table. You've really put a whole group of people at a disadvantage, right? Because there's some people who need the idea first, need to think about it, need time to come up with details. And so I think those are the things that are important thinking about. When you're working in a group, you have to kind of allow for people to work in the way they work. So you need to understand your own preferences and challenges before you can really effectively work with others. You need to understand your leadership style. Your leadership style may be very different from the person who's your supervisor or boss. The way you prefer to work may be very much against the way that, the person that you have to answer to works. So you really need to be able to understand that and find where to fit into that. You need to respect people's work preferences because there's really a lot of value in bringing all those different pieces together. And especially for us, there's career decisions, right? If you're going to be working in an organization and it's what you really want to do, where do you fit into that, right? Because there's different ways to fit into that. Take the CIA, for example. You can be out in the field or you can be in the office in the cubicle analyzing the information. You can still work for that organization, but where's your strength? Where's your interest? Where's your preference? So it's really important to get a sense of that. So that's why it matters. Go ahead. I should have the clicker myself, I know. So the MBTI. So really, this is what we're going to very quickly evaluate on. For those of you who are familiar with it, if you already know your type, you're good. But I'm going to just take you through this very quickly. The MBTI looks at 4 different scales, and they measure 4 different things. The first one is, where do you prefer to focus your attention and energy? Okay, so this is the first thing I want you to think about. Are you introverted or extroverted? This is not the stereotypical, the introvert's hiding in the corner and the extrovert's dancing on the tables. Rather, extroversion really means you get your energy from being with other people. That as you're interacting, you kind of crave that ability to kind of be bouncing ideas off of people. It really energizes you. It really gets you going. That's where your best ideas come. And then there's the introverts of us, who really, it's more about getting the information and stepping back and having time to process it, having time to think about it before they put it back out there. It doesn't mean that introverts don't like hanging out with people, and it doesn't mean that extroverts don't like their time alone, but what it means is, where do I do my best thinking? Where do I really get my energy? What energizes me? So very quickly, if you could just think in your own kind of behaviors and preferences, is your energy really driven from being in groups with people, or are you just more, is it more getting the ideas and having some time to self-reflect and possess? So if you could just write an E or an I, not both, on your paper, that'll be the first one. And again, if you really want to get into this, we certainly will be happy to do a full assessment with you. Second one is, how do we prefer to take in information? Sensors, which is the S if you're going to be that, is details, right? So you give a sensor an apple and you say, describe it, and they're like, well, it's 3.2 centimeters high, the stem's about 1.2 millimeters, there's a green spot about a quarter of a way around. Details, what is actually in front of you? That's what sensors like to deal with, the details. The room's locked, we need a whiteboard, we need 3 pens, that kind of stuff. The intuitives are more the big picture people, right? Showing an apple and they're starting to tell you about the apple pie their grandmother made that they never forgot, 10 years ago. Or they're looking at, we're doing this great workshop and they're not worried about what's in the room or if the room's going to be unlocked. They're really excited about what they're going to be doing. So intuitives, the N, really look at the big picture and the possibilities. So as you think about yourself, where are you taking information? Do you tend to more focus on details and really drive yourself on being attentive to the details? Or are you more a person who looks at the bigger picture, the patterns, the stories, and the meanings and things? Just very quickly, if you like details, S. Otherwise, if you're more big picture, N. The third scale, how do you make decisions? Decisions are really, such a personal thing. But people make them in different ways. There are those of us who make them based on facts, only facts. So there's the boss who has an employee who's underperforming and the limits have been set, and they're not reaching them, they're gone. It's a fact. It's an objective thing. Feelings. Some of us make decisions based on feelings. Well, they're not really performing, but I know their mom's been sick and their dog died and their car died, and I know what they're going through. I'm not going to do that. So thinking, feeling. Thinkers really make decisions based on facts and logic. It doesn't mean they don't care. It doesn't mean their heart's not breaking for that person, but when it comes to the decision, it's going to be made on facts. It's going to be made objectively. The feelers among us can't do that. We are more driven by how it's going to affect people. What is this decision going to mean for somebody else? And again, it's not that we don't know what the facts are or that we don't appreciate or value them. It's just that our decisions are really driven more by our feelings. So if you could just take a moment and think, and again, both are equally valuable. So thinkers aren't hard, cruel people and feelers aren't softies. It's really just where our values come in making decisions. So a T or an F, if you can kind of make a quick judgment on that. And then finally, how do you interact with the world? This one's kind of, I think, the easiest scale. Judgers like structure. We're the list makers, we're the crosser offers, we like the closure, we like to move that list along. Our recycling bins are full because we just can't wait to get the next sheet of paper in them. We like our structure, we like our list, we like to know what's happening, we like to know the plans. Perceivers love the spontaneity, right? They're not driven by that list. If they're going to plan a trip, they're just going to go and see what happens. They don't need the list. They don't need to know where they're going. They don't need the AAA trip tick. They're good. They're ready to go. So It's the way that we interact with our world. Are we ready to just go with it and see what happens? Or do we really feel more comfortable if we kind of have somewhat of a structure or a plan? So if you can kind of think about yourselves and go ahead and indicate a J or a P. So by the time you've gone through all of these, you should have 4 letters. This, in a very quick nutshell, would be your MBTI type, which is a lot of information on. We're going to take a shortcut to it, and going to look at just a couple of the letters, and we're going to break you up, and you can see them kind of along the rails. We've got SJ over here, SP here, NT here, and NF over here. So I want to take, if you have an SJ in your type, eventually you're going to be moving over here. If you have an SP, you're going to be moving over here. If you have an N and a T in your type, over here, and an N and an F over here. You should have no overlap if you've done this correctly. And I just want to give you a quick little insight into why we do the shortcut. These particular letters work together in the way that you interact that kind of come together to form something we call temperaments. Don't need to go into theory, just need to know. SJs tend to be the people who really are committed to duty, hard work. They're the ones down there grinding all the time. Those are our SJs. So if you're looking at your types, the combination of these two should also be ringing a bell. If you have an SJ, this should be pretty indicative of kind of your work ethic, right? So driven, hardworking, the ones who are there early, they're late, always working, always putting in their time. SP, if you have an SP, more action-driven, more fun, kind of the people who are going to get people motivated, get people going. They kind of love kind of the creativity and the fun of everything, so they're always looking for ways to kind of get things moving. That's the SP. They're kind of our spontaneous people. Our NTs are our scientists, our CEOs. They love the expertise, right? They crave the expertise in things. They love the knowledge. They love the facts. They're often scientists and researchers. They really thrive on kind of always looking and kind of motivating themselves to become experts in what they're doing. And then there's the NFs. These are your feelers, your nurturers, your nurses, counselors, teachers, people who really work off ideals, feelings, things like that. So as you look at your types and think about the 2 letters, hopefully this is ringing some bells with you based on what your types are. And again, this is just kind of a quick overview, so nothing will be perfect, but I think it gives you enough of a sense. So what I'm going to ask you to do now, and I know this is going to be a little bit of a maneuvering issue, but you can just leave your stuff, or we're going to let you go back to where you were. Kind of based on where these are, and I know you're not all going to fit, so feel free to kind of come down in here. If you could just kind of maneuver into your section based on your type.